Welcome to my online lectures on design patterns for MCA second year students. In this presentations, you will find the complete syllabus descriptions of MCA 4th on design pattern. So complete syllabus is designed with contents of unit 1 to 7. Unit 1, it gives a complete ideas about the design patterns, definitions, reusability of patterns, organizing the patterns, describing the patterns, how to use patterns while solving the problems, applications of different design patterns in various cases, selections of design pattern. Second unit comprises a specific design pattern category, that is creational design pattern. So in creational design patterns, we have to see the intention, we call it intent, motivation, applicability, structure, participants, collaborations, consequences, and implementations of creational design pattern. In creational design pattern, factory method, abstract factory method, builders, prototype, and singleton design patterns are comprised. And the second unit, it's a creational. Third unit, you will have a structural design pattern. Under structural design pattern, we will have a 7 design patterns like adapter, bridge, composite, decorator, facade, flyweight, and proxy design patterns. Similarly, in this particular unit, we have to complete the intent, motivation, applicability, structure, participants, collaborations, consequences, implementations of all these 7 design patterns. In fourth unit, the last category of design pattern, that is behavioral design patterns. Also, we can go for the intent, motivation, applicability, structure, participants, collaborations, consequences, and implementations of 11 design patterns in behavioral. These are interpreter, template, method, chain of responsibility design pattern, command design pattern, iterator, mediator, memento, observer, state, strategy, visitor. All these 11 design patterns comes under behavioral design patterns. So now fifth unit will have the introductions of human computer interface, we call it HCI. Now the HCI, the goal of HCI, objective of HCI, models of HCI are comprises in unit 5th. So in this particular units also we can see GMOS model, that is object action interactions model, and action object interactions model. So it is basically introductions to the HCI, human computer interactions, and we have to design different types of model for interaction the computer through different environment. Sixth unit, it's a principles of design, how to find out the different HCI problems, and we have to design different kinds of HCI. Then you have to see the interaction styles of design, guidelines of data display and data entry, direct menu selections, form filling, command languages. These are all kinds of interaction style to a design. So now in this particular unit, 6th unit, we will have a principle of design and interaction style of HCI product. 7th unit will give you a complete idea about the computer supported cooperations, like goals of cooperations, synchronization interactions, asynchronous interactions, face-to-face interactions, and applications to different fields like educational field and social fields that HCI can be used and design pattern can be used for different fields. So total complete syllabus comprises 7 units, and these are the content of 7 units what I have discussed on that. Now we will go one by one discussions. Now, as Unit 1 specifies as the introductions part of design pattern, so we can define design pattern. Design patterns are the best solutions for the recurring problems in the applications programming environment. That means whenever we will have a programming environment and we have some kind of problems, repetitions of problems, that time design patterns helps to the environment and helps to the problems by giving the best solutions for that particular environment or that programming environment. It is a universal standard. When we are designing a particular pattern, it can be used for everywhere, every purposes if the same consequences occurs. The responsible for design patterns analysis in other areas including GUI, graphical user interface. Basically, when we are going for designing different kind of interfaces for interacting the system, computer system, that time we need design pattern, because sometimes we will have a recurrence of problems or situations. We can use that instead of using several times the same consequences. We can use the pattern, and it will be minimizes the code, it will minimizes the time, it will be minimizes the efforts by the programmer. So this is the we can define design patterns in a different way. Next, design patterns elements. When we are going for design pattern discussions or descriptions of design patterns, we will see a few elements in design patterns, such as pattern name. That means it must have a name which can be used to describe the design problem. Then we will have a problems, that is describes when to apply this pattern. So pattern name, it indicates a identifier which helps to identify the situations, problems in the programming environment, so that that particular design pattern by name we can apply in that particular problem or problem environment. Then third element will have a solution. As we know, it gives you a solution to the recurring problems. So it includes relationship, responsibility and collaboration. That means it gives a relationship. Design pattern helps to establish a relationship between the existing design to the a problem arising or occurring problems in a specific consequences. Responsibility, it gives a instrument, or it helps as a instrument to give a proper responsibility to solve or resolve the situations whenever we will have a different kind of problems. And it has also collaborations with existing pattern with current problems, or we have to see the current applications or programming applications, and we have to collaborate the existing pattern. So when we are going for solution, it establishes the relationship, it gives a responsibility to solve or resolve the problems, and it helps to the programmer to collaborate different situations, combining different situations, and it gives a support to that. And the fourth elements of design pattern is consequences, results and trade-offs. So consequences, we have to see the consequences situations, and we will see that that particular design pattern which is applied to that consequences gives a result, gives a positive results, and gives a complete solution for that. So now depends on different consequences, we can apply different types of design pattern so that it can give a result to the problem. Now we can describe the patterns also in this way. Pattern name and classification. It conveys the essence of a pattern. Clearly expressed good name is vital because it will become a part of a design vocabulary. So now when we are giving a name to a particular design, we have to see that which category it comes. As per that we can give the name. If you are not giving proper name, that time it may mismatch the consequences, or it may have a doubts in the architect or the programmer, that may have a confusion regarding the name and the intent of a particular consequences. So now it is better to give a proper name so that the designer can easily identify the consequences and it can be applied by using its name. So while giving design patterns name, we have to see the category. As per the category of a design pattern, we have to give proper name. We'll see the subsequent slides will described already. GOF, gang of four authors we have, they have a given 23 design patterns and its a name. So it is very important while you are giving a name, you have to see that it must be a good name so that it can be used properly. The second, it describes intention. So when we are designing or describing a design pattern, we have to see the intention or intent. That means, what does the design patterns do? Exactly what is the intentions behind creating a design pattern? What sorts of work it can resolve, or what sorts of problems can be resolved through that particular design pattern? That's the intention. What is its rationale and intent? How it can be correlate? How can it relate to a consequences problems? So it helps intentions, or it has its own intentions. We can relate to other consequences so that it can help to resolve the situations. So now next, what particular design issue or problem does it address? That means intentions also specifies the problem solving capabilities, or what type of problems it can address, or it can indicate, or it can have a solution for that. It is also known as other names. We can say the names of the patterns, other well-known names of the patterns also, sometimes intention. So by seeing the name of a particular design pattern, we can find out the exact intention of that particular design pattern. So that's also we can have in intention or intent part. The next is motivation, a scenario that illustrates a design problem and how the class and object structures in the pattern solve the problems. That means the scenario will help understand the more abstract descriptions of the patterns that follows. This is again applicability. If we will see this previous slide's motivation, it gives a scenario that illustrates a design problem. So now it explains about the problems and how to solve it. It gives you like concrete structures like classes and objects. We have to see that that problems can be solved through some examples or illustrations or design principles. So it gives a motivations to the programmer to correlate the classes, or it gives a scenario where you can illustrate properly the classes, objects and the structures of these patterns, which helps to solve the problems. So that is motivation. It gives you a complete creativity ideas how to resolve the problems. So now this is how the design patterns can be described. Next is you will have applicability. The next point you will have a structure, collaboration and consequences. So these are the four next elements we will have when we are describing the patterns. So now these discussions will be continued for further sessions, video sessions. So thank you for watching this video. Thank you.